to say they honestly.
Are you coming to the tree? They strung up a man, they say, who murdered 3. Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree where dead man called out for his love to flee? Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree where I told you to run so we'd both be free? Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree where necklace of hope side by side with me? Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree where I told you to run so we'd both be free? Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree? They strung up a man, they say he murdered 3. Strange things that happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree where dead men call Are you coming to the tree? They strung up a man, they say, who murdered three. Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree where dead men called out for his love to flee? Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree where I told you to run so we'd both be free? Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hay.
All right. I apologize for that because I was on the telephone. I hope that my voice, as you hear it, finds you at a time where you're healthy, happy, and shall I say, open to listening. So I have a couple more meetings. I have to say that I feel like I'm winning on all fronts these days. I think more so um, because things are happening. Um, a lot of things are happening, and I'm very excited about it. I can't speak about a lot of these things because they're not my story to tell. I am only the facilitator. But watching the Fauci hearings and then watching social media compelled me to come on. I was thinking of doing it last night, but after a nice dinner with friends, I did not want to. You know, truth in all its entirety, you know, um, doesn't knock on your door, right? It really does not knock on your door at all. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for a news cycle. It doesn't check the trending tab to see if it's convenient to talk about something or if is this a convenient time. Truth ruptures like fire under pressure. It finds the seam, the weak weld, the hairline crack in the story they built for you, and it comes through all at once. Now you can plaster over it, paint over it, hire 1,000 voices to talk over it, which they do, and it'll still burn through because fire doesn't negotiate with drywall. And what have they built over it? Narratives, beautiful load bearing narratives, stories with great lighting and better funding and fun moments of humiliation. They hand you a script and then they call it a conversation. They hand you a conclusion and, they call it a debate. And so who actually delivers these scripts? Look up. Stars, the influencers, the blue check choir, as you would say. So ask yourself one question about any of them that you observe. Just one question that no algorithm wants you to ask. Where's the merit? Like, what have these people constructed and built? What did they risk? Right? What document did they read to the very last page? And what source did they protect? What price did they ever pay for a single thing said? See, fame is not a credential. Reach is not rigor. A million followers is not a million verifications. It's a million people who haven't checked. We took the town square and handed the podium to whoever was the prettiest under the ring light. And then we wondered why the truth stopped fitting in the frame, right? That's basically it. And here's the mechanism. Oh God, why do people call me like, no, 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 airplane mode. Sorry, guys. All right. Where was I? Look, what I'm describing to you is something you can't unsee once you see it. All right. These people don't need to convince you. They only need to convince you that everyone else is already convinced, right? That's the whole trick. Manufacture the appearance of a majority, and the actual majority follows it like water follows a ditch, right? And people don't sway to evidence, they sway to the crowd think, you know? What does everybody think? Well, must be true. And usually that's the rule of thumb. I mean, if you see 10 people running in the opposite direction you're walking, what are the odds that you should start running too? Okay. And there's no, no. I'm so sorry, guys. Like, I'm getting so many messages. My meeting at the house was pushed up. And so I have people that I already informed that this meeting is being pushed up contacting me. So I apologize. Um, so, where was I? Sorry. Now, as I said, that's the mechanism that they do, right? That they just make enough noise, they make it look like the majority has agreed, and therefore you must follow. And then, you hear them telling you it's democracy, and you're going to be like, no, 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 the right wing knows it's for, but actually, that kind of behavior, right? Oh, it's a democracy. The majority spoke, sit down, they tell you. But we're not a pure democracy. I thank God for that. We're a republic. And the difference is not like trivia for civics exam. The difference is the whole point. A pure democracy is 51% deciding what the other 49% must swallow. A republic says there are things no majority can kind of vote away from you. Your conscience, your speech, your right to look at sacred concessions, or whatever. And you have the right to say no. you know, You say no. Show me. Prove it. No. Right? That's what a republic is. A democracy is like, well, the majority of us said this is the red wave. We're all going to jump on that train. If you don't, I mean, you're probably a commie and you're just like, that's not true. I think you're the commie demanding forced unity, demanding forced submission. Right? And so one might say that we need to unite. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And wait. A republic doesn't run on crowds, okay? It runs on citizens. And a citizen is not a follower count. A citizen is an individual mind doing the unglamorous work. They read the filings, not the headlines. They follow the money, not the hashtag. They sit alone with a document at 2 a.m. because something in the paragraph, number 56 or whatever, didn't add up. That's the merit. That's the credential. It was never the stage. It was always the work. So no, I don't care what everybody's talking about. Everyone isn't a source. A consensus is not evidence. The majority has been wrong all the time, confidently, catastrophically, and applauding the wrong too, right? Let's not forget all these people who applauded Thune and said, go, 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 when I was saying no, no, no. Let's not forget Frank LaRose. Let's not forget DeWine. Let's not forget all of these people that were like, what? No, why are we doing this? And they're like, red train, red wave, do it. And you delegated your thoughts to them and said, well, I best do a Republican ticket because I mean, that's all I got. It's either that or that. And I guess I want to identify with, so and so that put it out. So I guess I'll do it. No different. No different. No different. I mean, in an ideal world, right? Everyone that was unhappy with the candidates would just not vote, and then then they wouldn't have a majority. I mean, when they're in Congress, there's supposed to be a threshold. Let's take for Ohio, for example. There's 9 million citizens, right? What if 7 million of them, 8 million of them decided they're not voting? I'm just telling you. Just hear me out. Does that mean that Ohio voted? What if 5 million didn't? Hmm? 4 million didn't? I'm just saying. See, there are ways to get your point across, and I'm not saying not to vote. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is there are ways, but the problem is we are a republic. We are individuals, so it's very difficult to organize people for a common goal unless it comes from an approved authority. And that's unfortunate because People are pre-programmed to follow some figurehead, you know? I mean, we don't even have proper representation, let's be fair, in Washington, D.C., because there's so few of them, they can be bought out like crazy. But be that one, not constrained for sport. That's just a crowd wearing a different jacket. Be independent for real. Like verify, question, read past the party they wanted you to stop at. And when it ruptures, and it always does, you know, the only people that are actually left standing are the ones who never mistook the glow of the screen for an actual light. And always I say, it's not the story they tell you, it's what they omit. Well, let me tell you how I've been feeling watching this Fauci stuff. Oh my God. I could just say this. You're all fucking stupid. Okay. That felt so good. Mm. Fauci was Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment. Oh, what color is this? Fifth Amendment. So dumb. Of course he's going to invoke the Fifth Amendment. That's a fact. He's going to invoke it because he has to. And those questioning him knew it. We saw Bernie Moreno, right? Have you seen his voting record, right? But you guys made him a hero. you know, Obviously, the day after his son, Max Miller, who was dressing his wife during the campaign like a Setford wife, which, by the way, is the daughter of Bernie Moreno, all in the family in Ohio. But so Max Miller, loser, during the campaign, his wife was like, getting dressed up like she was Jackie O. It was the weirdest shit. Her white pumps were too big for her feet. He kept telling her to keep her posture, and all that shit comes out that he threw boiling hot water on her. He's abusive, right? And then his father-in-law comes out like, fuck you. Who do you think you are? Well, fuck you, Bernie. Who do you think you are? We've been looking at your voting record, you fucking snake. How about that? Why aren't you guys working on lifting that fucking gavel so we can get some recess appointments in? But fuck you, Fauci. See, you guys forgot about it. They brought you Fauci. That was going to be a nothing burger. They knew that, right? They absolutely knew that. And now you have your commentators. Oh, we're going to go in for straight crimes. Okay, so I get it. Oh, Tina Peters was pardoned, but not for state crime. So we're going to get him for state crime. Here's why we're not going to get him for state crimes. Let me tell you. Because when we, the people, were actually fighting COVID mandates, mask mandates, vaccine, all of those mandates, your psychological operations experts, Green Berets on fucking keyboards and, you know, whatever private intelligence firm, they thought they knew better and they destroyed the ethics. In fact, you were so effective as a people that when you went to the school boards, they made foundations like Moms for America and other shit to monetize on it and hijack your efforts. So then that way the FBI gets in and gets a little bit more shit showy. But it's for you, the people. They fight for you. Just like, Bernie Moreno, fuck you, Fauci. I've said worse to Fauci. Now, here's why everyone's stupid. Right? That's number one. You sat there, watched the show. Everyone had a bunch of shit to talk about and tell you how Fauci pled the fifth because he's guilty. No, Fauci pled the fifth because he's supposed to plead the fifth. He says something out of turn that's in those emails that he doesn't remember, he's fucked. He says something else that's not accurate, he's fucked. He says something more direct, like, yo, we actually did a lot of the contact tracing shit in this state, then someone will dig in and say, well, were any state laws violated that we could get him on because he was directly there physically, not indirectly? His, what was it called? Suggested guidance was interpreted as a mandate. That's up to your governors. Those are the people you should be suing. I mean, I tried my best, but your influence machine knows so much more. You should be listening to them because this is why you're here. This is why your gas is so high. This is why you can't feed yourself, right? This is why you're like, oh, immigration. I feel like everyone looks retarded online right now. I'm watching people that are supposedly smart talking about Fauci like that hearing could have. No, it couldn't. It could not. You fucked it up when it could because you wanted to make money and be superheroes. Or look at me, President Trump. You should bring me back into your administration, even though I'm a corrupt motherfucker. And even though I have served my country so long, and I fucked up J6, you should just take me back because look what I'm doing. No, it doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. It really doesn't work like that. Let me tell you how it does work, though. All of you right now should be pounding the fucking phone to your Senate and say, why'd you bring out Fauci to distract me from the fact that you're not giving my president recess motherfucking appointments, bitches? Number one, right? Simple shit. He's supposed to get recess appointments. He can't do it. He can't appoint people. He can't do shit. Every motherfucking president in history has had recess appointments. President Trump is getting zero. But you got Fauci on the stand in a great show. It was pathetic. And watching people saying, oh my God, he pled the fifth. No, duh. Because you're not that smart. Oh, but he has a pardon. No, no, no. It's not real. Okay. The pardon is not a blanket pardon. Okay. There is literally a Supreme Court case that argues that where someone had a pardon, right? And then he was talking, and then suddenly he's in jail, and he sued the government for putting him in jail, right? Sued the government for putting him in jail because they told him that he had immunity, but it wasn't full transactional immunity. So let me tell you how we fix this. First of all, I'm going to tell you exactly all the shit. Oh, he had a Q clearance. Tell us about that. Bitches. I told you that shit years ago because I actually held a Q clearance. Oh. Yes. But you've been watching the stars that are now monetizing, right? Monetizing on that. Oh, look, Q clearance. Why did Bill Gates have a Q clearance? So dumb. I said it years ago. But today I'm going to tell you exactly what is happening, and I can tell you what the remedy is. I was really hoping to find Rand Paul today, but we'll see. If I catch him during my other meetings, because I'm actually working for the people, I kind of, feel like I emulate a little bit without even knowing it. Because I wasn't a huge Catherine Herridge fan for, until a few years back, but she actually does the work. She walks the walk. Like, and she's brick and mortar, which is really hard to tell. Well, not anymore, but there's not a lot of people like that. We really don't have real journalists that'll sit there and fight for you and chase it. We have wannabe journalists. We have journalists that rely on the coattails of others, right? But we don't have journalists that actually do the work. And people want to see people go to jail. Well, Senate's going to tell you, oh, but we tried, we couldn't. Vote for us. We need votes because we're losing the house. So here's some Fauci feet, crumbs. No. The only way we get this done, and you're going to hate me for saying this, but this is it. We need to give Fauci a full blanket pardon, like a full blanket pardon. Because this way, Fauci has to talk. See, if Fauci doesn't talk with a full transactional pardon, he goes to jail. And he goes to jail until he talks. Okay? But we're going to get the DOJ to be like, yo, he's got a pardon, so his Fifth Amendment doesn't count. It's not a transactional pardon. If I was his attorney, and I mean, your senators already know this, right? They know that that doesn't work. And so what? They would put the DOJ up to the task to erode our Fifth Amendment right? Like, what the fuck? Are you seeing? Are you seeing what I'm telling you? That is how dumb it is. It is dumb because there is already precedent on pardons, Okay. Already precedent on pardons. And if it's not a full transactional pardon, he can invoke the Fifth Amendment because it's not a full pardon. But see, to you guys who follow idiots, you know, you don't know this. So I'm going to tell it to you. You could go look it up. Okay. You could go look it up. So he needs a blanket pardon, which means Fauci gets to walk for the crimes committed up until 2014, right? We could still get him locked up, but that's another thing. So what can we do? We can demand that the Senate give him a full blanket pardon, which means that he doesn't need to invoke the Fifth Amendment and he will not be able to invoke the Fifth Amendment when he has like universal freaking, you killed someone between 2014 and, that period of time that we're questioning when your pardon happened, right? Just that period of time. If you killed someone, it's okay. You don't go to jail. Just tell us. You money laundered and got funded by Pfizer. Pfizer paid you to say this. Tell us. We can keep the money. We're not going to come after you. You'll look like a piece of shit, but we need to know this. Talk. So one might say, all right, okay, I'm willing to do that. I'll give Fauci a pass because either way, he's got a pass. You ain't locking him up. This is a way you can lock him up because when he says, I don't want to talk, that's when it's like, well, you don't really have an option. It's either jail or you talk. Well, I'm going to fight it with the courts. Okay, well, here's precedent that says that. You have a blanket pardon and you don't talk, you go to jail. So Fauci will not be strung up by our law enforcement or our government. I mean, he could be thrown into prison not to talk. That's the avenue. Okay. That's the avenue you take. Hey, here's a blanket pardon. Now talk. I'm not talking. Go to jail. When you're done, we can talk. And you know what kind of jail we'll put him in? The same one the very few J6ers stayed in, like the shoe. No nice treatment either. We gonna fuck you up. And we're gonna give the public access 24/7 to watch you in the fucking cell so they can enjoy that since, you're evading this. That would be a way. Now, let me tell you why I am so for this. Because I have a list of questions that, if answered by Fauci, everyone would be mad. So, first, let's begin with what part? What part do we want to begin with? Do you want to start with COVID and what he did? We already knew how much money. Have you read my Fauci files? Because that whole shit at the Senate was pulling shit from my Fauci files. You should go read it. It's for free. I mean, I do have subscriptions because the girl has to pay for her servers, eat and pay her mortgage, but I do put it out for free for those that don't have $5 to subscribe to me. Or what is it on X? I think it's $8, right? I think on other places it's like 5, others 10. If you can't afford it, it's still free. Information should always be free. And I know God's going to take care of it on the other end, right? So go read it. Go read it. So would this have to cover HIV crimes too? No, the pardon does not cover those. Very well stated. The pardon, they don't even have to ask Fauci. They don't need to say, hey, we're going to give you a pardon. They need to go. I already posted it. Go down there, Rand Paul. File this, get the court to approve that you gave him a full transactional pardon, and then haul his ass back in. Right? Once you do that shit, guess what? He has to talk. And here's what he's going to tell you. So I've said this before that I worked for former presidents. Well, back in 2014, when we were gearing up for Ukraine, it just so happened that all that stuff was going with Burisma, who were going to slot in there. I mean, Heinz was all busy with that shit. Anyway, I digress. So one thing that caught my eye was the fact that Bill Gates was awarded Q clearance. How did I know this? So I was at the office. I was being told that, when my next trip would be into DC and what I needed to focus on. And I was told that we were going to be dealing with the Ukrainian elections. So we have to have discussions, and I got a briefing. But in that, because it was in a classified setting, was a bunch of other classified shit. So as I'm sitting, I'm fidgeting because I just want a cigarette. And I'm like, oh, I could sneak downstairs by the bowling alley, or I could just fucking go outside, but then they'll see me. So what do I do? So I'm fidgeting around, and as I'm there, there's, the letter of Bill Gates getting, you know, like the clearance. Now, everyone's going to tell you, oh, it's because he has nuclear power plants. No, that's secondary. That's why he bought all the farmland. He wanted to pull into the energy market because he knows the AI centers need energy. He knows the superconductor factors need it. He's smart. Okay. He's not fucking stupid. He builds his shit before it's needed because he's making the necessity. But anyway, let me focus. So it was just around that time, and mind you, that, well, it wasn't 2014, it was like 2013, this discussion, excuse me. Anyway, it was around that time, that holiday period. And I remember that morning before I left the Bluegrass to go to DC, my daughter, my eldest at the time, she was in middle school, and she had like, you know, a picture of a turkey she wanted me to put on the fridge before I left. And the turkey was in a hazmat suit. And I was like, holy shit, what's that? She's like, we drew our turkeys. It was an Ebola turkey. I think I have it somewhere on Facebook that she drew an Ebola turkey. Because, we had Ebola. I was like, damn, genius. Rather than making it all fluffy, she was like, yo, this one's got a hazmat suit on. I'm like, apple tree. So Ron Klain was the chief of staff for Vice President Biden. Okay. I'm giving you all the tea now. At the time that he was, but before that, he worked for like a bunch of, Janet Reno. I mean, you need to look at his resume before he became chief of staff of Joe Biden, the vice president. A lot of that has been deleted, but don't worry, I have it archived. But I'm pretty sure you can find some shit. So, Ron Klain, going back to him. At the time, while he was the chief of staff for the vice president, he was also like the senior VP for a company named Revolution LLC. Revolution LLC was a new next gen identification company. Well, no, investor slash, yeah, it is the company. They changed it. You know what that company is called today? It's called Clear. Okay. So let's just remember Vice President Biden's chief of staff created Clear. And then Ebola happened. So then it's like, what do we do? Well, here's what we need to do. We need to build out statistics. We need to do shit. We need to get the people, in check. So basically, let me take a pause here for a second. What I'm about to demonstrate to you is the network behind Fauci. Now, Fauci is a posture. Fauci is a scientist, mad scientist, but as I said, the point of this Fauci hearing is not simply to expose one man. It's not to be like, hey, Fauci, this is like atrocious. You're terrible. You look at what you do. You sewed aborted baby parts to mice. Yeah, everybody does it. That's how they learn how to grow organs, grow ears. Like, shut up. That's just creating a visual that doesn't make sense. If they wanted to make people's stomach turn, if these guys were actually smart, right? If Republicans were smart, right? I'm just telling you, because it's all about operations, right? Let me tell you how you win. Okay. You pull out that shit Fauci did before 2014. Okay. You show how he targeted single black females that had no family, right? Because he wanted to get his AIDS medication tight. Tell them how these black single women with no family, that the black community was being used as an experiment for new drugs by lying to them and telling them they have HIV. One of them was even pregnant. It's so weird, right? Suddenly the black community is like, wait, what? Say, Fauci, what? And then you go on to add, yeah, this isn't like the first time this shit has happened. Back in the days, they were sterilizing black people in California. That was normal. And then, right? And then they asked, hey, you need to acknowledge the fact that I was sterilized because I'm black. And then Kamala Harris, who loves black people, by the way, because apparently being Indian makes you black. Ah, because she's black, right? Not Indian, you know, she's black. She said, no, I'm not going to recognize that California sterilized black women because she loves the black community. So do Democrats. They love their slaves. So if they actually said that during the hearing, well, then that would kind of pivot the table a little bit. Just say, just say. But they're going to talk about other shit. So anyway, I digress. Now, this hearing, though, is a stage of confrontation with the public face of the system, right? Public face of the system is Fauci. They made dolls about him. People were like, I got my ouchie, Fauci, Fauci, ouchie, right? But the thing is, that architecture that runs through Anthony Fauci and his long command of NIAID, Ron Klain's White House pandemic coordination model, Bill Gates's money and modeling ecosystem, Doug Burgum's state level implementations and technology, and the Obama to Biden federal framework that turns science into administrative power. That's basically what we have here. Shit. Give me a second, you guys. Why is everything on fire right now? 1 second, I need to make this call. All right, I apologize for that. I'm sorry I had to put a fire out. I did put mute. I didn't want you guys listening. Sorry. Sorry about that. No, where was I? So I was at the whole part of how Obama actually created this trust sciencing into a method of administrative power. See, Fauci was the scientific engine, right? Because Anthony Fauci sat for decades at the top of NIAID, right? The NIH, and he housed the DAIDs and the HIV trial machinery that I've talked about in regards to Harper's account of Joyce Ann Hatford, the HIV Net 012 and Jonathan Fishbein's whistleblowing fight. There's a lot about Fauci before 2014 we could get him on, right? I just want to say that. But inside that system, right? NIH linked AIDS trials, involved vulnerable subjects, safety controversies, pets, and internal fights over toxicity reporting and research integrity. Meaning, in other words, in plain English, for those that are not scientifically, your vocabulary in the science isn't much, that pretty much says that they weren't being honest in how toxic medications were or if the toxicity could be higher, meaning like if Hold on, please. I'm so sorry. It's like I have a fire going on with some meetings, and I think people are just too dumb to understand the communications happening. You know, it's like everyone's saying their own thing, and I'm just like, I just, okay, I feel like it's on purpose, this distraction. I need you guys to really understand what's happening here. As I said, Fauci is the face of this, okay? We know that he's corrupt. We know that he's evil, the things that he's done. We take that as a fact, okay? His history speaks for itself. No need to add or embellish. But he is simply the scientific engine. The actual coordinator of all this is Ron Klain. He's the political operator, right? Who helps explain how Fauci's institutional authority became whole of government policy. Under Obama, Klain was brought into the Ebola response. He was the Ebola czar. He was there to manage more than a dozen agencies in a centralized emergency structure. Klain's own writing argued that for dedicated pandemic directorates, like he said that. He created a pandemic directorate, he did new emergency management body, and a central role for NIAID and Fauci in natural response planning. Okay? So, whatever the media is telling you, whatever these idiots are telling you, I'm telling you because I was physically there. Okay? They weren't, that this was planned in 2014. Ron Klain created the law for it. He created the pandemic response. He put NIAID at the top of it. Like, this was orchestrated in 2014, hence why the pardon went back to 20 fucking 14. Pretty simple. Now, that's why. That's the wrong motherfucker. Yes, Fauci is disgusting. Yes, Fauci, he didn't make the biolabs. He didn't make the law making him the ultimate say God. And obviously, he's got little man dick syndrome, right? Because he was all excited. So I'm telling you, Fauci is a horrible human being. There's a ton of Faucis out there that you don't even know their names that are making decisions right now. Okay? So Fauci's horrible. But he's not the motherfucker that did it. Okay? You got to look at who did it. Who made Fauci the face? Who put him up to be sacrificed later? Ron fucking Klain. Okay? God, the guy who thought of, clear. I mean, Fauci is just a fall guy. He's not an innocent fall guy. He's disgusting. But he's short. He's needy. They use that. Ah, and then here people, Fauci's go. I watch it and I'm like, okay, America, you're dumb. You're dumb because you have everything. We have everything we need. Okay. You don't need these idiots to interpret shit. You could open up the internet and search. You could freaking ask your AI, even though they lie to you a lot. Okay. So it was Ron Klain that created that. Okay. Ron Klain did it. Under then Biden, Klain carried that experience straight into the COVID period as White House chief of staff. As Biden became president, he became the chief of staff of the White House. And he helped oversee the pandemic response and the laws, including the American Rescue Plan. Or what other laws did they implement? All right, that's right. The free speech shit that they cracked down on. Oh, I want to hear something. That's actually in the fucking plan, right? That he wrote in 2014. And I told you about this motherfucker ages ago. But you're listening to the people that have what numbers in their following? I delete my followings. How about that? This is why we're here. You can't even discern truth when it's talking to you. You're busy looking for what did they did they toast with the president? Are they wearing a cool suit? Right? You know? Oh, she's going to the party. A lot of us that get invitations that don't even fucking go. How about that? Trying to point out that you are putting your trust and faith in people that can't they're not speaking the truth and they can't even say it. First of all, they don't know it, right? This is primary source, right? On from what I see, and then the other stuff you could tell because it's fucking open source. You could pull out what Ron Klain created under fucking Obama because all roads lead to Obama, right? Now, having said that, if they knew Fauci was going to be the fall guy, then they knew all the other people they need to use too, of course, right? But I want you to understand that Klain is the bridge, the solid bridge, the actual link between the Obama era pandemic architecture and the domestic COVID machinery that later pressured states, schools, and institutions to actually align with federal guidance. Oh, we didn't mandate, we just guided them. Then we have money, tech, and land. Now, Bill Gates represents a layer of money, global modeling, and manufacturing capacity that sits alongside federal policy. Now, public reporting had tied Gates to pandemic simulation work and long term warnings about catastrophic global disease scenarios, while Gates backed projects later that included major vaccine related infrastructure, like he's got the patent for Ebola. Then we have Doug Burgum. He matters because he is the state level node where Gates' money, digital infrastructure, and land issues actually converge. Because, see, Gates donated after Doug Burgum got this loan in Illinois, right, to buy Fargo because he physically owns, you know, half of the city of Fargo. I don't know how nobody understands this. Like, physically owns half the city, right? So he's got money. Not only that, when he bought half the city, he committed fraud by declaring a large portion of the land that he bought, some kind of status, so he doesn't have to pay taxes. Do you know who funded that loan that he got? It was a VC firm from Illinois. And that VC firm from Illinois is a CCP backed investment firm. I think it's like one or two hops removed. I mean, you didn't have to do a lot of homework, but the guy just wanted money. Maybe he knew, maybe he didn't. He fucking knew. I know he knew, but I'm just saying. So, having said that, hold on a second. Why are people constantly emailing me and texting me? God, give me peace that I will not lose my shit when I keep repeating the same things and it feels like I'm talking in circles. Amen. Now, after he got that loan, he decided he's running for governor. Gates gave him $100,000 for his gubernatorial campaign in North Dakota. And Gates' money really had traction because Wayne Stenhjem, who was the attorney general at the time for about 18 years, pretty much owned the state. He had the banks. He had given all the loans to the judges to buy lake houses that he never called on. Just saying. So it was a big deal because Doug had to be the governor. Now, during his tenure, it was Governor Burgum that signed laws disallowing audits of agencies within the state, disallowing questions of purchases of land. There's like paper trail on that stuff. You could see it. You're not allowed to question who purchased that land. Well, did the Chinese shut up? This isn't allowed. You have to have a reasonable blah, 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 Okay. Just reasonable blah 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 to be able to ask questions. Auditor, how dare you point out that all these missing kids are happening and that we have pedophiles running everything, and how one person that was fostering one kid they miskeyed accidentally paying him $75,000 a month, of course, and they've been receiving $75,000 a month for 9 months and didn't think to say, hey, I think you're overpaying me. It's only $750, not 75,000. But you know what Doug did? Rather than say, great job, auditor, you saved us taxpayer dollars. We're finding all these innocent missing kids that are nowhere on the roster. Good job. No, instead he helped sign a law that says the auditor's not allowed to audit shit unless he says so. But he's a great guy because he has money. Wait, it's Chinese money anyway. But all right. So moving it along, Mr. Doug Burgum, after he wins in 2016 over a very formidable adversary on the ticket. Um, Remember when COVID happened? Yeah. He had an app in his pocket. He was like, oh, yeah, I kind of like deployed this app for years now with fans, football fans. So we can track them. And then their phones can track other people around them. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he just admitted that out loud. That if you're a fan of the Bisons in North Dakota and you download the app, because you're like, go Bisons, you're tracking every single IMEI you ever come in contact with. And he's been collecting that information through the football app. And that data helped him create the COVID tracing app, which got a shit ton of federal funding. You know, Biden gave him so much money to make that product. Biden loved Burgum. He gave him a ton of money. And then Google went in and Apple went in and Gates boosted it. And within 2 weeks, you had the COVID-19 tracing app funded by Gates, your tax dollars, right? And all the pharmaceutical companies. And that all happened in North Dakota. And yeah, nothing to see there. Because, if you would bring him in and say, so tell us about this app. When did this idea of yours come up with the Bisons? Tell us about it. Oh, you mean, oh, that was an idea of testing that type of software out in another place with the same utility so people won't understand it after that pandemic discussion you guys had in 2014. I'll see. Yeah. And why were you there, Doug, for that conversation for pandemics in 2014, Doug Burgum? Oh, well, I'm a business partner with Bill Gates and he invited me. Oh, and is that when he suggested you should be governor? He kind of did say it around that time too. And then I just happened to get this loan that I was hoping to get. All of a sudden, I get this loan from Illinois and I'm able to buy all this shit and then change the laws to make sure that I don't have to pay taxes on it because it's like a disaster zone, like all of it. And yeah. And so, yeah, so that's how Bill Gates told me that I should run for governor. I mean, I got this loan and my campaign was a little bit, so he helped me with my campaign too. Oh, so this was after the first pandemic, chit chat you guys had where you were planning stuff. Yeah, 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 yeah. And do you have a Q clearance, Doug Burgum? I don't know. Maybe I should claim the fifth on that one. But Bill Gates does have one. Who gave it to him? Well, it was Ron Klain. But Fauci supported him getting it after 2021. He did. Not before. Before, Fauci was just there. And actually, Bill Gates came into this because, the Department of Energy, I've said this before, it's just go to torsaid.com and think, does disease or humans, like human organs or blood, have anything to do with the Department of Energy? But I can tell you this, if you want to make it simple so that you can understand it, the Department of Energy does have simulations that they run in cases of disaster for national security to understand the power needs that the country may have under stressors, right? So it's called modeling. This is why we had a lot of those Bill Gates, hey, we need to reduce the population around that time talks because of the modeling. Because one thing Bill Gates and a lot of smart people have, Elon does this, I mean, a lot of people do this, is that they're in a topic and they can't help but just talking about that, right? So then let's so we got the players, right? Players, Fauci, the front guy, the science guy, right? That they boosted. Obviously, Bill Gates was working Fauci, through, I'm donating here. We should have a conversation. You're the head of the NIAID. You did all this shit. Yeah, let's talk. We got AIDS in Africa and I want to go test your shit there. How about that? I test your medications and give you the data, and we're friends. And I get to do what the fuck I want in Africa. How's that sound, Anthony? Sure, sure. Bill, that sounds like a good idea. Okay. Well, Ron Klain is doing this pandemic stuff. And so we're going to bring you in. Oh, yeah, Ron already called me, right? We got together with that. And yeah, sure. All right. So you're going to be working with the Department of Energy here. Yeah. Holy shit. Mm. You know what? I work with the Chinese on this stuff. Yeah, 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 yeah. They're pretty good. We should rope them in too. Oh, we should rope in the Chinese too. You see, what people don't seem to understand is that your pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, was supposed to hit you in 2017, late 2017 with Hillary Clinton. But instead, they popped it to take the elections from Trump because they knew that they couldn't win. And we let them. I'll repeat that again. We let them. Now, you might not see it because we're living in hell, really. Everyone's retarded. Everyone thinks, oh, he's pleading the fifth. And every time I see someone say that, I'm just like, and when I watch serious people say that shit, my eyes roll so hard to see my brain, totally see my brain. And yesterday I was having conversations with people you elect and pay a lot of money for. And they were like, my God, Fauci was pleading the fifth. They should nail him. Yeah, we're going to go for state crimes. I was like, you're an attorney too, right? Like, I would have pled the fifth if I was Fauci. This is how the conversation went. Tori, are you crazy? Like, he should answer. I was like, you're a lawyer, right? So you know it's not a transactional pardon. So why would he say anything? He's all right. Yeah, yeah, Mr. And you're going to tell me that nobody knew that? And he just looked at me and I'm like, okay, either everyone there is dumb or they're all really good at playing dumb. So then, other boy, ah, I can't believe he wants to get reelected. And I told that to his face. He said, well, we need to nail him. The people need people to go to jail. I said, yeah, you're right. But this isn't how you do it. Do you want to be reelected? Like, I wouldn't vote for you. You're no different than freaking Nadler. Like, or Pelosi, or a combination of that shit. But you're just a different color. And he was like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah. Like, why do you have him in there? Why aren't you calling wrong claim? You already know which motherfucker signed the fucking auto pen for him, okay? And pick 2014. And you already know the documentation says that it's Ron Klain's fucking program from Ebola. Yet we're here pretending that it's not. Do you know what he turns around and says? I'm really glad no one ran you for anything. You'd fucking ruin the system. I'm like, buddy, I wish we were not off the record. I would be spouting this shit everywhere. Mm. I think you're lucky we're not on the record, and I can't say this to my audience, but I can, give them a smile when they know when you come up, and I'm like, You remember that. So, this is where we're at. We're run by idiots and people that want to maintain the system. We can't reinvent the system. We got to maintain it. Yep. You don't want to get rid of that gym membership and the young hot intern, right? And the stocks that you get donated and the gifts and shit. I get it. But if you break it down, all of that came from Obama. All of that came from Obama. Damn those witches. All of them. All of that shit came from Obama's time, and you just need to drag Ron Clean in there. And I don't want that motherfucker to have any blanket pardon. But see, Barack Obama's administration supplied the coordination model, right? Claims Ebola role, the global health security agenda, the NSC style pandemic structure. It all came out of that period and treated outbreaks as matters of requiring federal control, right? Joe Biden's administration then operationalized the structure during COVID with Klain at the center and federal relief legislation helping shape the compliance incentives across the country, right? And that's where we get to, um, you know, why this is so important. If Joe Biden simply rolled out a plan that was never written by President Trump, and that's why I said warp speed was like fucked it all up. Okay. Fucked it all up for them. I'm just telling you. But he rolled out financial incentives. You know what sucks? And I'm so mad. And for those of you that will hear this, you will know it's for you. For those of you that fucked up the lawsuits on the mask mandates with the schools, we had confirmation. Schools would say, right, we're implementing it because the CDC and the NIH told us to. Those are directives. Then you turn around and then you turn around and say, all right, CDC, I'm gonna fuck you up. You can't tell them what to do. CDC's like, no, 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 no. We just made directive recommendations. And then the schools will be like, well, it's not really a recommendation. And then CDC's like, yeah, it fucking is. So somebody's lying. And guess what? I found why they're lying, and I filed that in my motherfucking case that cost me a fucking fortune, going all the way up to the Supreme Court with zero support from fucking idiots, right? That the Treasury said to the schools, and it spells it the fuck out. If you're not masking the kids and you're not pushing vaccines, you don't get money. So it's not suggested if the money they're getting is based on them implementing the suggestions. Now you can understand why I'm so mad with all these motherfucking influencers. I remember, what was it? General Flynn's team. Who was it? Tracy Beans, and that dildo guy. What's his name? Why is he slipping my mind? Because he's not fucking important. The guy that looks like a dildo. He goes by @drawingstrike. I see he's so unimportant. I don't even remember his name right now. That motherfucker said that my lawsuit fighting the mask mandates and the vaccines was fucking bullshit and everyone should turn off. Fuck you, motherfucker. I was the only one that had the fucking shit to get it done. And none of you did. All of you were busy there collecting fucking money and likes and tweets and, oh, retweet me and frame me. Right? Our country was going down the shithole, right? And you guys were busy fucking circle jerking. Oh, I'm going to this event. Look at me. I'm going to go talk about how bad shit is. It's like, we already know it's bad. Can we get to work? Right? So this is my biggest problem, right? That we have the smoking gun. It's in my fucking case. Just type in Maris versus Mayfield Treasury document ESSER funds. You'll fucking find it. It's right there. I said, no, they're not doing it for the health of my kids, which gives them a pass. They're doing it because they won't get money. And everyone totally fucking ignored that argument. So fuck you, all of you. That's it. I just wanted to get it off my chest before I go to the Senate and lose my shit because I have to be controlled. It's one thing being authentic and blah, blah, blah here, but it's another being in the fucking snake pit and, they could tell you, I don't want to hear it. So you have to be nice. You have to say, oh, I disagree. I think that's real stupid. And I literally do say it like that. So, yeah, I'm mad. I'm so mad when I see people talking like they know what they're talking about because they don't even have the right people in the room to ask. I mean, Fauci would be the right person in the room to ask as the scientific front and how he became friends with Bill Gates, right? And how this all happened and how Ron Klain approached him and how his input helped on the pandemic response and all that shit, okay? I just want to say, like, all of this doesn't ultimately prove that there's some secret conspiracy directed by one individual, but it does tell you this that's more visible and arguably more important, okay? There is a durable architecture in which scientific authority, White House coordination, philanthropic money, federal funding conditions, and state implementation all reinforce one another. This is why I say it's important you read my article or my book, Inga, so then you'll understand what I'm telling you. This isn't one person at the head. It's like people simplify it because it's like you're talking to a 5-year-old sometimes. There isn't just one person, okay? Because you're just playing whack-a-mole right now. There's a lot of people. Now, this hearing is so freaking hollow. It feels strange because Fauci is treated like the sole object of inquiry, even though the public record already contains a large collections of emails, diary materials, financial contacts, and even though the real questions reach beyond him, the spectacle of questioning one man is so much easier than actually investigating the network that made his authority actionable, right? The more useful way to understand this freaking moment right now is Fauci was the face, Klain was the coordinator, Gates was the money model layer, and Burgum was the state level gateway. And Obama to Biden, the federal frame that let the system function scale. That's basically it. That is how it happened. That is exactly what happened, actually. Not how, exactly what happened. And that's what sucks, that we're here having this conversation that we've had a long time ago. You should be pounding those motherfucking phones. Say you brought me Fauci so you could throw crumbs at me while you're still holding the fucking gavel rather than let the president make recess appointments. This, how many motherfuckers out there are telling you that we need recess appointments? None, because they're too busy making money on the Fauci shit, telling you how, oh, Fauci pled the fifth, let's laugh. Ooh. Like, it's funny, make a song about it, humiliate him, because that's basically what they're doing. That's the only reason of his existence. His role was always to be humiliated. I don't think people understand that. That was his role. Okay, that was his role. No one seems to understand that. That was his fucking role. So let's give him a blanket pardon and have him start singing. He doesn't sing, he goes to jail. That's fucked up. And then while you're doing this, telling him talk or go to jail, you let out the shit on all the single black females that he fucked up before 2014, targeting them so he could test medications because, they're less human, according to Fauci. Because why else say we're just gonna big black females? Let's not forget during COVID how they went into the black communities and were shoving it down people's throat. But it was a black community that was like, fuck that vaccine. I ain't taking that shit. Like the smart ones, right? Could you imagine if we had that happen? Like, if I was the scriptwriter, I would give Fauci a blanket pardon. I would say, you got everything off the table. No one in any country or any universe will, unless it's God, will punish you for anything you tell us. Speak. And then he lies or doesn't speak. I'm like, oh shit. You got to go to jail. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm going to fight it. Actually, the law says that if it's like this, see this Supreme Court case, and you don't talk, you do go to jail. So get the fuck in there. And when you decide to talk, we talk. He doesn't talk. He stays in jail. And we make sure his jail time is exactly like the one for the J6s. He committed crimes against people and he's not talking. He's going to jail. And we're going to have a 24-hour camera so people can watch you. Go around your cell, eat, Why not? Let's humiliate the fuck out of you, bitch. Okay? That's what would happen. Right? And maybe if they did it the right way and they got the document from the court and they threw him in jail, maybe Fauci decides to talk after a while. Because while he's going away, and while you say you're going to put him in jail while you're questioning him because he doesn't want to talk, you bring up all the females, black females, single black females that he targeted and show the notes where he said, well, they're the easiest ones that no one will ask about. The notes, why they pick single black women in Tennessee to do drug trials for his HIV meds, right? And then he's going to talk about that, isn't he? The whole world's going to hear how he was racist and picked black people to test medication on and how he killed them by lying and telling them he had HIV. Because the gays just totally love Fauci because he fixed AIDS for them, right? I guess maybe, they'll be okay with black people being targeted because they're, what is it? Less human? Was that what Fauci said? They're not like us, kind of thing. Is something like that? I don't know. I don't remember. The notes so long ago. So then Fauci may talk about it, may not, but he's going straight to jail. And what matters is that it's online now with credibility. and documents. And not only that, with Fauci's face to response. And then when someone says Fauci's like, that's preposterous. What do you mean preposterous? Kamala Harris was the vice president. She denied Black people the right to be acknowledged that they were being sterilized simply for being Black. Here's that paperwork too. You guys do this shit all the time. Someone else would hop in with that. This is how I would write the script. Now would be the conversation. So there's two possibilities. Fauci starts getting angry and talking about it. And he's like, do you know her? Oh, you don't know any, oh, let's call her sister in. Hey, somebody get her sister in here. Let's make this a Maury Povich. That's the shit that I would do if I was the scriptwriter. And then he would go to jail anyway, right? Because he wouldn't speak. Or he'd say something that's a lie. And after he gives me all the good shit, I'll be like, that was a lie. And you had a pardon. So since you lied with a pardon, guess what? You go to jail again. Ah! For good. See, this is how you get someone in jail without putting them straight to jail. You threaten them with jail. You put them in there, right? Put them in there if they don't talk. So that's how it would be. Tori, the scriptwriter, the architect, says Rand Paul filed that document. Now he's got a blackened pardon. He's going to be like, I'm still not talking. Lawyer's going to tell him, hey, there is a Supreme Court case. I mean, actually, they could say that publicly. There's a Supreme Court case that says only in this thing, there is no Fifth Amendment because you have nothing to worry about. So there's no point in invoking it. And that has actually been already done. So then Fauci would be like, well, I don't want to talk. Oh, you don't want to talk. Okay, well, just sit there and listen to us for a second. See, the American public wants to hear what you have to say 2014 and beyond. But you know what the American public doesn't know? What you did before that. Let's take a look at all these Black single females. Do you guys see that? Because we tell you about puppies. We tell you about aborted things. Nobody wants to listen. Well, look at all these women up here. You see those ladies? Yeah. He killed all of them. And you know how he killed them? He tested HIV medications he was making to all those women up there, and then they all happen to be Black. Oh, and I think his note said those are the people we should be targeting that have no family and no one will ask questions. Because what they did is they lied to them and told them they had HIV, and then he would test his medicines on them for toxicity and stuff. And most of them were dead. One of them that was pregnant. I mean, there's a story in Harper's Bazaar talking about it, right? Anthony Fauci, do you want to tell the public about how you were targeting Black people? Because we're just going to release all the documents anyway online. I just thought maybe you want to talk about it for a second. And all the while the person that I would select saying this to Fauci, the camera would not be on the person talking about this. It would have the women behind Fauci and just on Fauci's motherfucking face. There is only so much that you can keep a poker face, and that motherfucker can't keep it because he's got small dick energy. Okay. So this is how my play is. Okay. This is what my show would be. So, all right. And then, a Democrat blurts out, how dare you? This is America. We don't do things like that. This isn't the Stone Ages. No one would ever target, Black people. And then the other person that I would pick would come out and say, what? Are you kidding? We had Kamala Harris as VP and running as president. Everyone keeps thinking she's Black, she's Indian. But let's not forget one thing. In California, they were sterilizing Black people, and Black people went to those victims that were sterilized, went to Kamala Harris as their attorney general and said, please recognize that I, as a Black woman, was deprived my rights and sterilized because I'm simply Black. Sign this letter, AG. And guess what? Kamala Harris said, who is definitely not Black, but popular opinion says she is. She said, no. So yeah, it does happen, Mr. Other Senator that's a Democrat that I told to say that line. It does happen in, you know, all aspects of government. And then the camera's on Fauci. So then there's two options. Fauci's like, all right, I'll talk. Yeah. So it was Ron Klain. He brought me in and he starts singing. Or he says, I'm not going to talk. All right, then just go to jail. And he goes to jail until he talks. But if he does talk, he's blah, 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 blah. He sings like a bird. He tells us everything. He gives us everything we want. Oh my God, it's amazing. But the one thing he did was lie a couple times, and we took note of that. So when he was done singing with his full blanket pardon, like, oh shit, you kind of lied about this one right here. You lied about that. When you lie with a pardon like this, you go to jail. So you go to jail again. Dun, dun, dun. And then the Fauci saga is over. Fauci's out of the picture. And now we've got the real players. And then you have to ask Ron Klain. So, how did Obama discover like this Ebola thing? Because they're trying to bring it back to life right now. So, who were the people? What companies did you guys have the discussion with? I see. And who put out this whole pandemic? Is this why we bought all those coffins? Oh, yeah, we needed them for 2017, right? Okay. But fucking Trump won, didn't he? Totally fucked up your plan. See, this is the way the script was supposed to be because it was driven by the people. But it's not like that because this is something that I recognized a few years ago and said, while you think you may have the upper hand and have a stellar plan to counter, you can make plan, but God's plans supersede yours. And if God sees that your plan placed way too much power in your hands, God makes your plans fail. This is what we're observing because they all had a plan. Anybody from the outside, you know, would fail. They would exclude them, right? They would move them, they would minimize, they would tear them down. Some people actually killed too because they were like, well, why are they fucking up with our plan? We're patriots. I have told you this. Praetorians don't protect the people, they protect the power. And not only that, when you give too much power to your liberator, they become your new captor, right? So this is the problem that has been happening. Not only do we have misinformation, we have an army of voices claiming that they are information because they have proximity. Mm. President Trump is fantastic in bringing people on. Oh, well, he wouldn't have Doug Burgum in his cabinet if he was corrupt. What the fuck? He had Pence right next to him, who passed a fucking note to one of the most corrupt shares to go fuck over President Trump. Stop. He played his role perfectly. Played his role perfectly. And you know what? I someone said this to me and I corrected them. I don't remember where I had this conversation here during my trip here in DC, but someone said, well, sometimes I think Judas was fated to be the traitor. And I said, no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Just because you're on track to be a traitor doesn't mean you have to be one. If we remember the story correctly, Jesus broke bread with him, brought him close to him, made him a disciple, washed his feet, fed him, hoping that he does not make the decision that Jesus already knew he was going to make. He knew he was going to be betrayed. He told him, I know someone here will betray me. And at that point, maybe even him, no. But the thing is, the one thing that we realize and I gave this talk, I've said this before though, in Genesis, and I've said this before, I love watching Ricky Gervais uh, comic, thing on Genesis and the Bible. But I realized that, I don't think it's said out loud, and I want you to hear me when I say this. When he said, oh, well, I think the snake was a mistake. Actually, it wasn't. See, when he created Eden for Adam and Eve, he put the tree of knowledge there, or whatever you want to call it, the tree that bore the fruit. You're going to say, well, God created evil. No, it's not evil. Hold on. He put the tree there. He put the tree there. Do you know what that tree stands for? Choice. He didn't want people to praise him or be in check as forced obedience. He wanted you to make that choice. The tree was the choice. You choose. Okay. You always have a choice, even at your last moment of being a shitbag. You have the right to choice. But you know what that tree shows us? Because he's God, obviously. He made humans, obviously. So he understands them, obviously. He understood that having relationships freely is more important than automation. Because if you are in forced obedience, your yes means nothing to me because I can't say no. The minute you have the right to say no, the other person's yes means something. Okay. Right now, the United States, we the people, are in almost a forced obedience under the guise of social influence. It is completely unnecessary and not needed. We need people to be able to kind of trust their guts, do revolutionary things like listen to what everyone is saying. That's key here. I mean, the Garden of Eden tells you that the tree was there because God made you free to choose and make your choices. So this is where we need to be making. As one of my most favorite accounts to watch on YouTube is this chick named Bailey Sarian who tells like stories but does makeup. Her tagline is make good choices. Make better choices, make good choices. Choice. Now, all of you choose to listen to the influencers. All of you choose to have outrage for things you cannot control. All of you choose to have rage. But very few of you choose to actually do. I'm doing. Do you do? I mean, I speak, but I do. Get on that fucking phone and tell them my president wants, fucking appointments. Fuck Fauci, bring in Ron Klain. And if you want to bring in Ron Klain, drag him by the fucking hair, here's what you're going to do. You're going to give Fauci a blanket pardon. He doesn't get shit for anything. But if he lies during his testimony, obviously we're going to lock him up. Because then that way, if he doesn't talk, we throw him in jail. Okay, how about that? Do that shit or you don't get my vote. That's what you could do. That's how they represent you. Not you advocating to some influencer. You can write to the president, be like, yo, tell them motherfuckers to do two things. One, get off the gavel so you can make those appointments. And two, tell him to give him a blanket pardon so he can sing. And if he doesn't sing, he goes to jail. So it's a win-win. And he's still going to go to jail when he sings. Remember that. I mean, I'm the script writer on that one. But that would be the best script right now for that. Haven't been wrong yet, have I? I mean, my timing's a little off, maybe. But that's because humans change things. But I mean, I'd really like someone to point to something that I've been wrong on. Maybe it hasn't manifested yet, or maybe manifested in another way, or even served its purpose to be terminated, and as to why it was put out there in the first place for termination. But you haven't. I'm just, I mean, smart people can see things. And I'm telling you, point to where I've been wrong. I'm telling you, this is a great solution. I was right about the masks. I was right about these things, and humans just didn't want to do it. You had people that wanted to destroy your actual win. That's what they did. They propped you up and then cut your feet off. They wanted the people, but only for the money, not to make change. Oh, come out here. I mean, remember, Lindell was paying people to protest with signs because nobody would come out. The right wing doesn't usually come out. I'm just saying. Timing depends on a lot of factors, things that you can't foresee. And one thing you can't foresee is someone's heart, because up until the last minute, you can make the right choice. Judas could have made the right choice, right? Graham could have made the right choice. A lot of people could have made the right choice, but they did whatever choice they took at that point. But that was yesterday. Today's a new day. So whatever happened yesterday, nobody cared, right? We focus on today, correct? Now, having said that, I see a lot of people that call upon things, like God and angels. I saw a lot of that yesterday, but I want to be very precise. People should be very careful who they call upon, like for help. And I say this, from the perspective of, I mean, like in Eden, right? Who stood by the gate with the sword? when Adam and Eve were ousted so they don't go back to some comfortable lie. That's what truth does, right? It doesn't knock. It doesn't ask permission. It says, is it convenient? Is it a convenient news cycle so we could talk about it? Do you have bandwidth to talk about this really hardcore shit? Right? Because I find myself like, no, no bandwidth. I don't want to know. But truth literally ruptures everything like fire under pressure. It finds all the weekends, right? Right where it can seep through. It is a force to be reckoned with. I really wish that more people saw how truth is so amazing. And you know what it comes into? It's like the lotus flower, right? It is. It's like in the dirt. It's ugly. It's dirty. It's a fucking swamp. And it comes out and it just looks gorgeous. And it's one of the most expensive and rare flowers you will ever find. We got to make truth less rare. We got to make authenticity less rare. We need actual real people, right? Um, I can't count how many times during this work trip I have encountered people, and it came from one place that I wasn't expecting, a guy named David, but other people that are like, holy shit, you're real. I thought you were AI. I'm like, what? It's at this point that people think that anyone that is outside of the cookie cutter must be a manifestation of digital something, right? It's it's pretty astounding that everyone believes everybody else is AI, but the people that are actually real are the ones that are AI because everything else looks the same, but this is different. Make sense? I hope it does. Now, oh, I wish I could tell you guys, but I can't. There's a lot that has happened, a lot of winning that has happened, and I'm just like, and not only like for you guys, the people, but even for me on a selfish thing. Like I was waiting for something to happen. I wanted to like refinance and I cut 2% on my house, but something else. But I got it refinanced finally because I found the sweet spot. Because everyone keeps posting bullshit or doing searches in my name, which I can't fight when people are applying for credit in my name and other addresses, which is fucking me up. But anyway, so that was a small win. So I feel like the tide has turned. But for us, I think we're winning. Um, I won't be able to talk about it. Somebody else might. It's not my story to tell, and they'll probably talk about it in a couple weeks. Um, but we're making headway um, on many fronts. J6 documentary. Hold on, let me give you the ETA on that because we are still doing. Um, okay. J6 docu is coming. It's a little bit, like I said, we're posturing it to be like a mini series throughout the week. J6production.com will be the website it's going to be on. Um, on that website, if people want to pay, they could see it earlier. If they don't, they could just wait till I stream it. It's just that'll help offset like all the costs because obviously I have to host it and stuff. And I want it to be there for everyone. So it'll be a mini series. Because, like I said, rather than guessing who broke through the gate, let's start at the gate and pull the faces and then show you through time where they came from and where they went. And then we'll grab another face from that location where they went and met with that group that broke the fence. It'll come out going to the fence so you could see every single one of those motherfuckers. And I know they'll be disappointed. It was the right that counter organized this. They fucked you because they were smarter than you. And it was cool to be their friend and go to their events and take a picture with them, wasn't it? Didn't you feel super cool? Oh my God, he followed me. Oh my God, he liked me. Oh, look, I took a picture. Oh, look, I got VIP. Oh, look, he pointed at me. Where's your Republic today, 6 years later, with those pictures? Hmm. I will have it on locals for sure. But where are those people today? How did they help you with your Republic, with those pictures? You see where I go with this? You see where I go with this? This is why I'm so salty. I mean, I'm not someone that's anything but mad. I'm mad at the advantage that they're taking of the people. And then it's even harder to tell the people because the one thing we don't want to admit that we're duped. Shit, I don't like it either. I hate it. I get very uncomfortable when I'm the idiot in the story. But no matter how smart you are, you still have smart blind spots, right? That's key. So get on the phone and tell him to give him a blanket pardon so he could talk. Explain it to them. Tell him how to do it. And then tell him to get off the fucking asses so President Trump can do his appointments. How about that? Okay? Because he needs to like put people up. How about that? But I am going to tell you this. I'm going to leave you with this before I put a really nice, interesting song for you that has very good graphics and you must pay attention. Um, our Department of Justice, our DHS, they're doing a pretty fucking fantastic. And I can't say, I mean, Cash Patel too. They're doing a hell of a job. I mean, you may not see it and it may not be in the way it is, right? But they're actually doing a good job. Okay. They're doing a good job because the one thing that happened yesterday is there was a discussion about something. And it just so happened that that discussion was something that I was going to be talking to someone this morning about, which was pushed back. And that someone was already working on that something. And I was like, well, then, yeah. So someone saw that and then you're assigned to do that? Mm. And my face was just beaming with a smile. Because if you knew how seriously the president and his team take your comments, you know, I wish I could tell you for this one thing, because I know it's very close to a lot of people's heart. This one is pretty amazing. The people partaking in this, I actually texted yesterday and I was like, hey, I'm going to see you on this day, blah, blah, blah. And I had told people that have issues, hey, we'll get to it when the timing is correct. And the timing was me sitting with this person who I'm friends with. And I'm like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, blah, blah. You, of all people, you are doing this, blah, blah. Do you know that that blah, blah is something of my blah, blah and this blah, blah? And it's like, whoa, so cool. Well, can I blah, blah? Yeah, you can blah, blah. Let me put you in touch to blah, blah. And it's game over. And this is how you know God wins. And this is why you shouldn't be making plans. Because in any universe, when I'm able to actually tell you exactly how that pans out, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be the one, but I know people that are involved in this will tell you that they went through what they're going to go through without naming other names. I mean, they might name me, but they don't have to. But they'll tell you, and then you'll know, actually, they shouldn't. They should just say this happened. Because it just so happens that as you're there thinking about it, God, and you're following a plan and doing what's right and nothing's happening, God comes in with left field. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to bring it to you. How about that? Shit like that doesn't happen. That's what I wanted to say. Things are taking a turn. Okay. Things are taking a turn for the good. Though, having said that, this month we have to be very careful because there are a lot of rumblings that there will be something hitting on President Trump's family. And that's insane. That is really insane. Really insane. But this thing, the blah blah that I'm telling you about, I mean, picture it. You're like, how can I explain it to you so you can anticipate it? Because I'm anticipating it. So let's pretend I'm investigating these glasses. And these glasses, you know, do really evil things, right? They do evil things to people and they all stay at this one place doing the evil things. There's cases, people call out the glasses for doing the evil things, everything. So I'm writing about it, talking about it. There's people testifying about how these glasses did shit to their kid and blah, 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 and how many loved ones, and then investigative series, the whole nine yards. So I'm, yeah, sitting down with a friend, blah, 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 blah. And then friends start saying, yo, these glasses. And I'm like, wait, what? Yo, these glasses. Wait, yo, well, what happened? Well, so and so, like, just glasses. I can't tell you how, but just I'm going to see these glasses. And I'm like, where are you going to see the glasses? I'm like, no way. At the glasses state, the University of the Glasses? Yes. I'm like, oh, shit. How did that happen? Don't know. Oh, so I got someone that can help with these glasses there. Great. Please. I'd like to. Great. Well, I'll come so I can introduce so there's no fear of talking or anything, about glasses. Okay. That has never happened in the history of forever and forever, especially when it's so simple. Like I said, something's turning and it's getting a lot easier now. I don't know what unleashed or what happened, but this is just one example. You'll know it when you see it, just like many of you know when you see it. So I have a lot more to do tonight. I may be um, sharing a link of where I'll be speaking. I'm not only here to do work. I Well, obviously, I am here to do it because it's spreading the message. And so I'm going to be at a specific association and they asked me to talk. And the thing is, you know what? It is so awesome. It is so awesome. And they also gave me like a check for 500. I can't take their money. I'm like, they put it in my bag. I'm like returning it on Friday. I don't want to get paid to come and say things that should be free. As long as I get fed, I'm happy because I know they have food there. Right? Some really good shit that I've been craving. So I may share that so you guys can watch me talk to other people. Um, I do a lot of that, but a lot of those places don't have links to stream and stuff. So just so you know, that's why I don't advertise events because I don't want crazy people crashing it or anything. That's what's important. Now, on the other hand, I wanted to say before I close, any motherfucker telling me that I don't deserve credit for the shit that I do and that, oh, you just want credit. Yeah, I fucking do. I work tirelessly. I don't fucking sleep. I fund all this shit myself and you could go fucking pound sand if you don't want to hear that. How about that? You take my shit. I've already got this shit. Oh, by the way, the company, uh, just settled with me to pay me my legal fees. My lawyer said to take it and not get more. So basically, I'm getting all this money that I got back, which means I got a retainer and bitches, you're all getting copyright shit. Like, that's the next thing. So all of that has to go there. If he asks me for more money than the money that I've spent over like 2.5 years on this lawsuit, almost 3 years, I'm gonna cry because I don't have it. But hopefully the copyrights start flying out. First one's going out to X, next it's going to Fox. I mean, I need to fuck them all up. And this is how it's going to happen. Because maybe exposing those that don't know what they're talking about is good. Because I still feel like because people like Brian Cates, and I pick on him because he's low hanging fruit, keep in mind, I mean to say somebody else. But any motherfucker that's posted shit on me, and once you get a letter from my lawyer and you don't take it down, you're jumping into that motherfucking suit. Because you know what? It's not just the defamation of character, but it'll be who told you to put that there? Because if you notice, a lot of people are deleting channels and shit now that there's a federal investigation. He hasn't gotten a knock on the door. That's the whole point. Even people that are hindered up here can read scripts. I'm sure you heard the paper flipping. So, yeah, you're all getting it. But see, yeah, that's another thing on the selfish side that God made it work. Like they were like, fine, we'll pay her. What do you mean, fine? I should have never been in court. You guys just did it. I should have asked for more. But my lawyer was like, well, you don't want to. He always likes to win. So it's like I gave him money to hold on to me to give me 3 years later with no interest, which is going back to the attorney anyway. So I digress. I digress. You know, Tori says from Nigeria is verified, and Elon Musk will not give me my handle nor give me their information. So I guess we're going to find out who we suing in Nigeria. And if they're actually in Nigeria, they were verified, which means if they were verified, we have a name. And if they are verified and it's false, then that means your verification process, Mr. Musk, is a little bit off. Get what I'm saying? You only get the tasks that you're able to do. Just putting it out there. God, I said way too much. So, on that note, I'm going to leave you with an amazing song while I go and get some work done. Because obviously, it fires. And I want to do this raffle, man, but here's my problem. I can't even do the raffle for people to do the vacation until I get back to my house because I need to do it live. Because if I screen record me doing the random drawer, people will be like, oh, how do we know that you didn't, fix it? And it's like, I'm not going to fix it. I'm an honest person on that. But it's like, okay. So now it's going to be like people are only going to have 2 months because I need to see who wins so that I can get their plane tickets to go on vacation. So it's like super hard. And also, you know what I was thinking? Totally random before I go. I was actually thinking, like, when I did my investigation that now Savannah says is taking credit for the Timu Tori. And she was making out with that actor. What's his name? Owen Schroyer. So, anyway, so Timu Tori is taking credit for the Chinese fake bag investigation shit, allegedly, because on TikTok, they're like, she called him on there. Actually, I was there with my ex-boyfriend when we went through the whole Canal Street stuff. And yeah, I was looking for fentanyl, bought a shit ton of bags. So I was actually thinking of using that whatnot place because I have like all of them in boxes sitting there from the investigation. Some of them are great knockoffs, so they're all leather, so they're not plastic. Because in the leather ones, they put more insurance on them, just so you know. I'm just letting you know, which meant that they would put them in higher grade good containers, which would include drugs or weapons or anything else that they were smuggling. So that's why I would always try to get the leather quality because I know that they would have to use a different shipping company when it's quality that they want to maintain relations with. So when you pay a little bit more for the bag, they will take more care of it, and it goes into the container with electronics, hot phones, drugs, and shit like that. So yeah, I might do that. So don't buy any bags. I got a shit ton of them. They're really cute, but I just don't use them. You guys know I have a fetish for bags. Like I have a bag for every day. But I thought, I got to get into that storage room because those were just investigation. I spent my money just so that I could get mail sent to me so I could correlate the addresses. Because anyone that's purchased from any of these Chinese, you'll see that there's labels upon labels upon labels. It's because they filter them through different people. So the first layer method to find them was like in Jamaica, New York, a guy named Michael Chen was the key point for all three shipping companies in China because they only have three major companies that ship out products to the United States, just so you understand. It's a very simple yet straightforward yet process. So if you're in China and you want to send something to America, you can only use three companies, right? Michael Chen was the point of contact for all three. He was the one that had the head point of all the stuff down at Canal Street. A lot of them employ these Africans, which they kind of like offload their products. So you have all the Africans out there. Most of these Africans have come down from the southern border with the Chinese, because one thing people forget is that a lot of people that were coming through the southern border during the Biden administration were actually Chinese and African. I digress. So that's, how the Chinese were working. And then Angela pointed out to me about 9 months into that investigation that a bunch of Chinese luxury goods guys were killed in Milan. And we were like, oh, I guess our job is done. We're finished. Because that's one place that it would go through. So she was right. And so, yeah, I have a shit ton of bags. So I'll probably just auction them off. It doesn't matter you'll have to pay shipping though. But if you get it for $1, you get it for $1. I mean, it's nothing to me. They're going to be really good. So I'll do that. I'll do that this week at some point. And what else? So all of you are getting your books out. I actually got someone that's sending them out for me while I'm away because I have to keep on top. I've got way too much. I've got 3, I've got 5, I've got Inside. Like I have all this. And Inside has to go out ASAP once the website's up, but I have to work on the documentary first because we need that for elections. So anyway, I'm off. My meeting starts in 30 minutes, so I'm going to go smoke and head out. I wanted to give you guys some encouragement and also spank you if you were on the Fauci called the Fifth Amendment train. It's all bullshit. It's an op. And I don't want to say it's an op because most of these people that are elected are idiots too. And the people behind them are idiots. But the people behind those idiots that are telling those idiots what to say are smart like me, and they're making them look bad. So just, putting it out there. Number one, what you need to do is call them and say, let go of the motherfucking gavel and let my president have recess appointments. He's the only fucking president that has 0 recess appointments. Like, what is going on? 2, like, give Fauci a full pardon and make him sing. Drag Ron Klain in there and Doug Birmingham. I don't give a fuck if he's secretary. He's Secretary of the Interior. He could be God, per se. Right? God would never be Doug Burgum, ever. But I don't give a shit what title he wears. Motherfucker needs to talk. Let's talk contact tracing app. Let's go. Where'd all that money go, bitches? Where did you set it up? Did Fauci come down to North Dakota? Did you guys look at it? Which one is it? Let's talk. Those are the things we should be asking. But okay. Now watch this video. Pay attention to the graphics and see just how long, people have been saying it. God bless everyone. God bless America. And God bless our president, President Donald J. Trump.
Can't touch this. You can't touch this. You can't touch this. Can't touch this. Can't touch this.